Creating our feature film Monsters of Man was always an ambitious undertaking. What started off initially as a hobby eventually turned into more a commercial experiment to see if I can create a really cool calling card to Hollywood. By producing a compelling film with high-end production values and studio-quality special effects, within a budget that probably wouldn't have covered the catering of some of these big tentpole movies. So in bringing this project together, I had to think really smart in all areas. But luckily, I had 25 years experience shooting giant commercials around the world up my sleeve, combined with an amazing team with an equal amount of years behind them. We managed to pull off something pretty amazing. I started by pulling together a small, multi-talented, commando-style crew that were more than happy to shoot in a minimalistic way. I promised them no overtime, no crazy hours, no late-night shoots. Other than the mud, the rain, and the heat, we ended up finishing on time every day with the cold beer ready for us when we got home. However, all the shortcuts aside, I didn't want to compromise my vision when trying to capture the best production values and the best performances from our actors. Nothing was going to stand in my way. So what dollars I had, I wanted in front of the camera and not behind us. So we really minimized our waste and we put our savings all on the screen. I still wanted to shoot with at least 4 cameras, stripped down to bare minimum for obvious speed and agility reasons. Being an action film, having multiple cameras, you get so much extra coverage. Continuity becomes far easier. Actors can start to breathe and start flexing their muscle and get more into a theatrical role and more of a theatre role, which I know a lot of actors really enjoy. Our script and movie was set in the Golden Triangle. After our recce, we decided Cambodia really suited our needs. We didn't have to build any sets, no giant art department required, no lighting team, no grip teams. We just shot lay of the land. And the images we captured were just incredible. My choice to shoot rated cinema cameras was easy. I give these cameras a flogging day in, day out around the world in all sorts of crazy tough hard conditions. The benefits for me are 6 and 8K resolution, 16, 18 stops of dynamic range. These cameras give me a ton of information to play with in post, more than I need. Being quite the post-production nerd, I'm in a great position to really be able to dig deep into the raw files, which allows me so much extra control to being able to dig into the shadows or bringing down annoying highlights is a real benefit. Also, low noise attributes allows for far better results in keying, tracking, and compositing. The 6 and 8K resolution allows me to reframe easily to enhance a scene or an actor's performance, push into a shot of up to 200 to 300%, which is like throwing on another lens. So resolution really does help you from a creative point of view. At the end of the day, cameras for me are just data collection devices. And Red at the moment just happen to give me more data to play with than any other camera. The final look, however, is not set by the camera's sensor or some basic default color setting. The final look is set by the cinematographer, our on-site lens choices, and our color decisions during the final color grade. Shooting Monsters of Man on Red was a no-brainer. They're small, they're powerful, and they're super reliable. And I have no idea how you're going to watch our movie, either on the big screen, an 8K TV, an iPad, or a phone. Whatever you end up watching it on, I just wanted it to look amazing, and that's why I chose Red. Monsters of Man is released on December 8th worldwide on every major platform. I hope you get to see it in 4K and enjoy it as much as we had making it. Have a nice day.
All right, so please welcome Mark Toia.
Howdy.
Hey Mark,
So-
have you recovered from the other night?
Not really. I'm still jet lagged from that night.
That was the premiere of the movie on Tuesday night here in Brisbane. Mark just lives over the river from me. I could have probably popped over there if it wasn't pouring rain and sat with him and had the chat. Sorry, John, over to you.
No, sure. I just want to do a quick Q&A. So tell us a little about yourself, Mark. How did you end up making a movie in Cambodia?
How did you just shell the money out and head over, I suppose. It's a simple one, but tell me about myself. I think people know enough. It's enough rubbish out there about me, but I think the movie sort of came about through sheer boredom. It was just a hobby off the side of my TV. You know, I direct obviously lots of commercials, as you know, and I just thought, why not? I've got a bit of pocket money stashed away. I might as well just go and make a film for a bit of fun. It's cheaper than boating.
Not much cheaper though, probably. But anyway, so why red cameras? Why did you decide to shoot on the red system?
Oh, look, I adopted it nice and early, so I really over the years, I suppose, got to figure out how good those files were once you really knew how to dig deep into them. And we did venture off to Sony for a little bit, and we did venture off to ARRI a bit, and so we have moved around a bit. I don't want to be that guy that just sticks with something he knows. I'm a bit of a learnaholic, so we got into all these other cameras as well, and we just kept coming back to the red file. And I think the resolution is what kept me going back, because I do a lot of rack-ins and moving around in my shots. But at the same time, when the Monstro came out, it really kept me, because it just all of a sudden it felt like there was another stop. And then we got into HDR fairly heavy over the last sort of year or two, and then I realized there was even more hiding away in there, and I thought, oh, screw it, I'll just, until something else really comes out that's going to give me 20 plus stops or more, I'll jump on that camera then. But at the moment, the red's just delivering a lot more for me than I probably can use at the moment. So I'm happy with it.
Great. Yeah. So, yeah. Sorry, Warren, go ahead.
I was going to say Luke's a DP director, red user up in Taiwan. So I've joined him across. He was supposed to moderate. John stood in for him. Then Luke finished his shoot. So now he's come back to moderate as well.
Okay.
Hi, Luke.
We'll moderate. We'll argue both sides of the issue, right? We'll be like a political show.
What do you shoot with, Luke? What camera you got?
We shoot on a Gemini, a Helium, and we just got a Komodo. And one of our partners also has the Monstro, so it's the entire red atmosphere, and we love them as well. But we do hop on ARRI, and we hop on Sony, and we hop on whatever we can with the client. You know, every shoot requires a different camera, but we do push red as much as we can. And I understand, Mark, you guys shot on 4 reds in Cambodia, is that right?
Yeah, we had a fifth body there too, but we predominantly shot with 4 cameras, yeah.
And were the DPs, were they all from Australia? Did you have some Cambodians shooting as well? How did the camera team work?
Look, I took on DP duties because I'm a fussy bastard. But all the guys were there was one fellow, Tony O'Loughlin. He's an accomplished DP all by himself. So he took over the A camera. Well, he was B cam originally. Then I got the shits with being on cameras. So because we had 4 operators, so I just moved all the operators to do all the heavy lifting, and I just literally every scene I just pointed, that's what I want, that's what I want, that's your lens, got it all going. Then I walked back to my actors. So end of the day, I didn't really want to fuss with cameras too much, but that's how we rolled with it. We just brought everyone in from Australia. But then we did at the end of it, because there was a very, the young Cambodian boys were so keen to shoot and everything, and they were watching us like a hawk for a month or so. And I said, oh, look, you jump on and you can shoot the scene on that camera, and you can shoot one on that camera. And we had these young guys sweating bullets, they were going to fuck it up. But they got it. We taught them all about exposure and what, histograms and everything. And end of the day, they just needed to, follow that dialogue. So, and they couldn't really screw it up unless they were.
Did you just say, what was it, we'll fix it?
What's that? Yeah, was it, we'll fix it.
Is that
well,
what
I think there was, as you know, Warren, because you went through all the files, there was Tony O. He's a very ARRI Sony guy, right? So he was more looking at the image in the monitor rather than looking at the histogram. So he caught himself out a little bit in the early stages. He was sort of grading by eye, not by graphs, right? And not grading, you know, setting his exposure by eye. So he got caught out a little bit in the first few days. But like, that's a good thing, you know, when you're on dailies and you're looking through all your footage, you go, hang on, you know, camera one's a little bit, I wouldn't say hot, but he was on the edge, right? It was all retrievable, and that, again, that's a good thing about Red. You can suck into those a bit. But he was the only one that was running hot for a few days. But once everyone got used to that histogram path, and I told them where they needed to be, then we were all floating after that. It was all very, very simple.
I think that you have. Go on, Luke. You go.
You must have been dealing with mass amounts of data. How did you guys handle your dailies, your rushes? Were you sending things back to Australia? Were you backing everything up there and just keeping it all in Cambodia? Take us through your pipeline process.
Well, you know, a few years, it's all changed now, but a few years, when we did the film, we had an assistant editor there who was logging and backing up each day on 4 cameras, but we had quite a fast little pipeline. So, you know, a movie, you don't tend to shoot that much on a movie, even with 4 cameras, because you're only shooting scenes, right? And because you're shooting 4 cameras as well, you tend not to shoot 20, 30 takes, resetting a camera. So you don't, I found that we weren't shooting that much, even though we had 4 cameras and we were shooting a whole scene. I think we shot about 75 terabytes, I think, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a great heap of footage. You know, especially when our script was 160 pages long, it was a massive thing, and we were shooting quite feverishly each day with the multi-camera.
I would say that shooting 4 cameras, though there are differences, obviously there's one helium in there, 3 dragons. There's obviously lenses difference, bit of matching, but that in a way is easier than single camera. So the next movie I graded was single camera Alexa, exteriors. Then you've got sun in, sun out, shade, color, temperatures, and I'm back on that and I'm thinking, man, this is getting difficult. And obviously you don't have those things with multi-cameras because you're there at that set time. So a big advantage for me in the matching side of that is when you go multi-camera.
Yeah, well, because lenses do pick you up a little bit. Like a friend of mine, he's doing a big show right now for Netflix up in Canada, and he said he's got all the the fancy primos, the anamorphic, from Panavision, but he says every lens is a different color. It's just like they're all over the place. So there's no getting away from a light balancing perspective. You know what I mean? Because every time they put a lens on, they've got to then drop a card in there. They got to like literally grade, for your Macbeth each time. So if he's got an on-set guy just balancing stuff out, resetting metadata and stuff. And we could have done the same too, but it's not that hard. It's if you get a stream of cameras, what we should have done for Warren is we could easily do a balance, an on-set white balance on set, rejigging our metadata on set. So by the time Warren got it, he could have had it all neutralized for him, but he got that job.
Yeah, it was good. You gave me, I got a case full of hard drives and a dock for 2 drives. I go, well, that won't take long to conform. There I am, 2 drives at a time with a dock. Good practice. That is good practice.
Well, actually, I wasn't. I would never do it like that again. I'll just give you one of our big raids, but we just gave you all of a set of backup drives and just go, there you go, just away you go.
But it's like anything, you probably learned so much through this movie in ways if you did another one to maybe do it a different way. Do you think you would? Or I was going to say, how different was it to shooting a big commercial, shooting a feature?
Oh, no difference. It was exactly the same way because, I shoot multiple cameras on TV commercials as well. No, we sort of still practice the same. I think the only thing difference is you might, because your time code locked and everything. That's about the only great difference. I think everything else is basically the same. Yeah, we didn't learn really anything. I mean, the only thing I did learn, I suppose, is well, at the time, you know, to get a 70 or 100 terabyte hard drive, or you know, a RAID system in the back of Cambodia was going to cost us like 40 grand. 4 years later, you can buy the whole thing now for $9,000. So, you know, now you just buy 2 or 3 RAIDs and just have them on set and just use those. But you know, but these are the things that change after, you know, each year. But other than that, it was pretty smooth sailing actually. We didn't really have any hiccups at all.
Well, if you get to see the movie, pay a bit of attention to the cave scene, because that was the helium, wasn't it, Mark? And it was very clean, and there was just torchlights in there.
Yeah,
And,
well, we actually shot a bit of both in there. There was one scene in there where it was just too dark for those little dragons at the time. This where I wish I had more than one helium, because at the time Jared sent us helium number 3. You know, it was like the only one. He had one. I think Jim or Fincher had the other one, and I had the other one, right? So we're all like beating away trying to get this thing working, and but it worked fine actually. But it was notably better than the Dragons when it did release, and I wish I had 4 more. And actually, Jared said, "I'll send you 4 more," and I said, oh, by the time it gets to me, it'll be like it would have been they would have turned up on the last day, you know. So we didn't worry about it.
And you did your promotions that you did after the film. You guys went with which platform did you use again?
Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, that's right. And so how did that go? I ended up getting the behind the scenes package. I have yet to watch the 4-hour package that was put together, but those rolled out very well as the film came out. Everyone got their perks, and there was perks, you know, from $5 to I think $80 or $100, and you hit your goal. Is that correct, or did you go higher than your goal?
Yeah, look, that was more, the Indiegogo was more an experiment on marketing more than getting the money for marketing, right? It was good that I think we just set it pretty low. I think like 20 grand or something. But really what the good thing about Indiegogo, which a lot of people forget, there is like literally hundreds of thousands of people scour the Indiegogo site. So even though only, I can't remember how many people actually backed the project, we can actually see how many people looked at the project. We knew that Indiegogo has actually got a great amount of people running through it all the time. And we knew that it costs so much money to, you know, push your advertising globally. You know, if you want to drop 10 grand or just $1,000 on Facebook, you know, you might reach 200,000 or 300,000 people directly and focused. The same thing goes with Indiegogo. So you can get 200,000 or 300,000 people run through your Indiegogo site. Not all of them's going to click on it, but it's an amazing amount of people look at your trailer on that site. So that is a marketing tool all by itself. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you're getting rewards. You know, you're getting payment. You know, guys or people really want to jump in and support you, so you're getting their backing as well as early adopters and all that. And it's great. It's sort of like, I think Indiegogo and, you know, and any of those crowdfunding things are actually fantastic purely just as a marketing tool, with the byproduct of you get great supporting behind it. And the good thing about that is the whole, I'm not sure how much we've got from it because I never really looked at it much because we've got some of our staff doing that, but they said it was very easy. It was very smooth. There was no one in there complaining. I think 2 people wanted a digital 4K download, you know, and I'm going, well, because of piracy, I'm not going to really do that. Maybe, you know, they could probably steal it anyway because everyone stole the movie already. It's like freaking everywhere. But that was about it. You know, we had really good supporters, and everyone was really helpful and thankful, and they've been sending us a ton of emails saying they love the film, and it's been really, really good actually. Yeah, I would back Indiegogo or Kickstarter or whatever. I'd always do that if you're trying to just get your name out there.
Was that your original plan, Mark, or did you change tact after you made the film and then thought, or maybe I try and sell it somewhere. Someone will pick it up at a trade fair or something, or did you change tactics? How did that work?
No, the Indiegogo thing was nothing to do with sales or anything. It was purely a marketing tool to help get our movie out there, and as well, the supporters would, buy a $10 thing or a 25, or there's a $350 one. It was amazing how many people bought that $350 one. I'm now going to be doing these Zoom calls for another month or so, but no, from a sales point of view, it was always okay. Let's go back a tiny bit. The movie from day dot was always an experiment, right? I mean, it's not like I didn't go out and get funding or pre-sales or any of that stuff. I did it the crazy, stupid, brave, maverick way, whatever you want to call it. It's there's a whole lot of no's in doing it the way I did it, and but really, like I said, I've been working long enough and hard enough, and my wife and I've got other businesses that do quite well. For us to go and make this movie wasn't a stretch for us, so I could go into it in a real different sort of mindset. I didn't have to sort of listen to executives to tell me to water it down, or to do this or that, or do it this way. I didn't have producers telling me how to spend $10 million extra on making it. I didn't have to worry about jumping any hoops. So the good thing is it just became artistic expression, I suppose. This is my art house film, technically, even though it's not really an art house film. It's a big commercial thing. But what we did was, when we created it and we made it, we did take it to market. So then we went down a traditional route of selling our movie, and we were hooked up with CAA, which is, one of the biggest sales companies on the planet, and reps and whatever you want to call them. And they introduced the movie to everyone, the everyone on the planet, all the big boys. But it didn't gain any traction back then. Everyone saw it, everyone liked it, but no one wanted to drop the big dollars on it. But then, which is fine, obviously you go, oh, that wasn't really worth it. Actually, no, it was. I'm not going to say companies' names because I don't want to discredit any company, but there was we had a couple of big distributors that did want it. They wanted to pay seven figures for the movie, and it would have paid the whole movie out, and we would have been fine. But the problem with doing those deals is you might not see any money, or you won't get really paid for a year or two. And I think, well, maybe I'll just do what they're doing, right? So all they were going to do is drop it on the VOD platforms. They were going to do the SVODs. They were going to do the AVODs. They were, they were going to do DVDs. They were going to do everything that I could do anyway. So I thought, my wife and I just thought, you know what, screw it. Let's just do it ourselves. And then we don't have to die at someone else's hand. And if we're not going to get paid for a year or two anyway, we might as well just get paid ourselves a year or two, So there was no great advantage giving it to them other than walking away from it. But we didn't feel like walking away. We just felt like, let's learn about distribution. Let's just use this as a bit of a learning case. Why don't we just do it for the sake of knowledge, But we worked it out pretty quickly. Was if we went that way, the traditional way, the movie probably would have been seen more, would have made more money, but I would have made less. This way, I'm going to get less sales, but I'll make more money. Does that make sense? So it's sort of, but you've got to have a solid marketing plan behind your movie, and that's another thing we're teaching ourselves too. Well, I'm not sure teaching ourselves. We're in the marketing business. I'm in it 24/7. For the last 25 years. So learning about marketing, global marketing, and reach and all that is something we do on a daily basis. So for us, it's actually quite easy to do this because we're so used to it. So our campaign, our marketing campaign behind this film has actually really been quite strong. I'm not sure if you guys are seeing any part of it. You probably are. It's it's touching you somewhere down the line, and you'll be happy to know we haven't spent a single cent yet. So once our budget turns on, then you're going to get really smashed by me. But but really, that's not for you guys. That it's not per se for you guys. It's for all the masses that aren't in the industries I'm in. It's going to be really pointed at this target market, which we have spent money on testing and algorithms and all that. So we know that our market now, with all of our testing and all of our feedback back from the platforms and from the social media outlets and all that, is our target market is a 25-year-old to 36-year-old redhead male that drives Camaros. No, I'm just joking. I'm not that doing it, but it's literally that age group, and you can see all their genres and everything that they do and everything that they like. So instead of us wasting all our money on pushing our ads to random people, now we could focus our marketing directly at the person that really wants to watch the movie. So it's quite the science, and the back end of selling a movie is actually more difficult than funding and making the movie. So whoever's going to go and make themselves a movie, you want to think about the back end first, not the easy bit. The easy fun bit's making it.
We got a question from Rodrigo. Rodrigo, do you want to come and ask your question? If you're there, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hi, Mark.
Yo.
Can you listen? Yeah. So I'd like to know, what was the hardest sequence or scene in the movie for you? And how was the look achieved? What was the process? And how did you get such a realistic effect on those robots?
The hardest scene was getting with the young boy. I'm not sure if you've watched the film, but the young boy where he loses his father. That I think that was the hardest. And I don't mean hardest technically, but hardest emotionally, to try and get actors into that role. Technically, the whole movie was a cinch. It was really quite easy, but trying to get these emotional performances, emotional performances from characters. That's the hardest part from a director's job. Do you know what I mean? Now, the second one, I think, was the look of the film. Well, Warren and I sort of set that look together. I went into this movie straight up going, I'm not going to use any lights at all. So we shot this completely raw with not a single light. It was all natural light. And I did use a couple of lights in the cave because it was just too black. Otherwise, we needed to get something in there. But I went in there because I really wanted the movie to look as real as possible. And the thing is, when you start putting lights in things, you start losing that natural rawness. So we decided I decided to just shoot the thing completely raw and just really think about everything. We didn't even have any bounce boards or anything. Like, we literally shot this thing legit raw, really basic. Actually, it wasn't basic. We really thought about where the light was coming from, how it was coming in, how bright it's going to be, what time of the day to shoot in, to make sure we maximize backlighting and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of thought went into the shooting side of it. At the same time, I had to balance that with getting characters into character at the same time as the light sort of came through that direction. So it was quite the balance. So when we came back, with Wazza, and we sat there, and I gave Warren like a whole bunch of looks that I really like, and he smashed away at it. So it was, I sort of really liked a look that was on a film look. And you'll notice that the movie's a little bit crushed in areas, which I actually liked. I like the crush look because I'm from 35mm film days, right? So I'm still a film purist in a way. So I still really like that look. And I don't like my grading. I don't like, even when I grade my own stuff, I don't like it when you see everything. I know as a colorist, you want to try and get everything detail everywhere and all that sort of stuff. But from my point of view, I'm after an emotional connection to that shot, and I want to sort of darken away what I don't want people to look at. Do you know what I mean? So I don't care if things get a little bit heavy in certain areas. And Warren and I have been, we've graded together on film back in, must be 20-something years back. So he sort of knew that I was into that sort of stuff. And it does reflect that too. When you look at the movie, I'm not sure if you watched it on a proper HDR monitor or a real good monitor, but you'll see the look of it's, it's very film-like, legit film. It's not digital made to look like film. It's got a really good density in it that film usually sits in and around, because and I'm sure you guys have all, if you guys are all colorists, you guys have all graded film at some point in your lives, right? So you really know that you can't move around in film as much as what you can in modern day digital cameras. And the last part of your question, how do we get the visual effects or the robots looking so good? Well, we spent a lot of time really on doing it, because I really wanted a 4K monster that I could go this tight and shoot eyes, So it was a huge polygon count and a lot of texturing. And we put probably a lot more effort into our 3D than probably a lot of post houses would, because when you have big giant files like that on 3D, they take a lot of effort to render and move around and all that. So we made a whole bunch of different proxy size ones for certain shots, and then some higher res ones for the close-ups. And I think we end up building about 24 different robots to make this movie work.
They look amazing. Like when I first saw them, because when I initially graded, it was men in blue suits. There was 4 robots, 4 guys in blue suits running around. And then when I saw these robots, like the detail of them really was good, down to the scratches, how they get beaten up. And, that's how you judge the effects, how well you think it sits in there. And they did sit in there well, but there was a lot of work sort of matching those plates up. So they comped in there quite nicely. And I don't think I used one matte, Mark. I know there was mats available for them for the final, but I don't think I used one in you to match in from those shots.
No, I didn't think you needed any mats, because we just made sure the comp was spot on.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to color, not fuck around with mats and shit.
Yeah. That was good in that respect.
Yeah.
It was great. So the detail was really good in there.
Yeah, well, you sort of gave me an amazing price anyway. I didn't really want to screw you over too much more by giving you 1,000 mats to deal with.
So what's next for you, Mark? Are you going to continue in the movie way, or what's the story? Back to commercial?
I don't know. It's financially, I don't think movies are worth getting into. And I knew that from the very outset. I think they're quite they're like a dreamer's thing to do. You know what I mean? Commercials for me are obviously very lucrative, and I'm well known around the planet, and I get tons of them. But look, I don't know. I think I'm going to pick and choose what I might do. Whether it could be a little job, little movie, could be big. We've been offered 30, or we've been offered 50 movie scripts. There's 30 that are quite serious, and out of that, there's about 3 or 4 scripts that we like. I'm still undecided what my future is going to be, if I want to go and do movies for other people or do another one for myself. But time will tell. I'm in a good position where I can decide my own fate. I'm not really going to fall on the sword over a movie, that's for sure. And I don't think anyone should. I mean, movies are great and a bit of fun and stuff, but they're a lot of work for not much gain. So people really need to really think about that big move when they go and do one. Unless they get paid a hideous director's fee just to turn up, which is a different story.
That's a good position to be in, I suppose. And how did you go during COVID? You obviously had because you were a big traveller, you were not back home a bit like I was, away a lot. Did you do more local stuff here? How did you get through that time? Or you just found you to do it, I suppose?
Yeah, look, we were doing jobs, but it was a tiny percentage of what we were, because obviously all of our work's overseas. So really, 95% of the work I do is scattered around the planet, not in my own country, and not in Australia. So yeah, when COVID hit, I got grounded. I literally sat on my ass and just ate for 4 months. Hence, I put a belly on. But it was actually a perfect time for us because then I could focus on the movie, because I'm not sure if I could have done the movie and, you know, I mean, it's selling the movie and doing what we've done. I don't think I could even scratch the surface if I was doing TV commercials at the same time. Like now I've got commercials on now, and you know what I mean? It's tough. I mean, well, now the movie's outdone, I can just sort of sit back a bit and we just, you know, we're just going through the motions now. So that's all done. But, you know, we've still got the marketing going on. But, you know, we've got 2 or 3 ads going on now. We'll probably, I think we're booked up to like March next year with commercials. Then we've got a couple of movies slated for next year, which I haven't said yes to yet, to the annoyance of these producers that are getting a bit pissed off with me. But,
right, so here's the question I've been waiting for. I don't like red. The skin tones are horrible.
Yeah, I don't know who started that.
Did you get that much?
Oh, mate, I was getting it from Day Dot, and I'm looking at the monitor going, it must be a different camera these guys are working on, because I can't see any fucking skin tone problems. And that was even with the red one. But hear me out. One day we did a job for Mazda. It was about 8 years ago, I think. And we had MPC do all the post-production for us. And there was lots of visual effects and everything. Anyway, they got all the files, and it was all sort of pushed, you know, into a post house that had their way of doing things, right? And I said, look, I'll do the transcode for you guys. And they go, no, we'll do it here. And I go, oh, fuck, whatever, okay, fine. So I walked away and I just let them take it all over. Anyway, I got the first draft back and everyone's face was yellow. Right? I was just like, what the fuck? And the agency's going, why is everyone's face yellow, Mark? And I go, I don't know. So we rang up the post house and they go, well, because you used that fucking red camera, right? And I went, oh God, are you killing me, right? So because luckily I'm post savvy, I went in and I redid the whole output, right? In DPX and 444 ProRes and everything. I just did it. And the skin tones were perfect. And the other thing too, what they sent me was soft. Everything was soft. It was like they had softened everything. So it was soft and yellow skinned. So anyway, I sent them back a 4K file, which they didn't even know what to do with at the time, right? A 4K ProRes, perfectly color matched with perfect skin tones, which I didn't do anything with. I didn't grade it. It was literally just the export from the camera. They fought me on it still. They said, oh, we're not using yours because it hasn't gone through our lab. And I go, what fucking lab are you talking about? So apparently they had a color lab. They said, well, Ridley Scott doesn't worry about our color pipeline. I said, well, he fucking should, because this is, or part of my language, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I'm not sure what was going on. So I forced them through the agency and through the client to use my conform, and then they did it. But wow, I couldn't believe how. But that's when I thought, there is the problem, right? It's not the camera. It was never been the camera. It's always been that post pipeline through a lot of post houses at the time before they really understood R3Ds. But those color pipelines were really affecting it when they were doing those DPX conversions through some crazy, maybe it's Rec 709 or some crazy export LUT or whatever they were using, but it was ghastly.
There was a lot of transcoding it all to DPX in the early days, where not all software was, all red files were supported, you know, in Resolve or Baselight. So, and then a lot, I think, post house stayed in that sort of way. We'll just transcode it all to DPX, and that's how we'll work with it, because red's difficult in post. There's a bit of that, you know, that's all gone now. Now, there was a bit of a hurdle there for a while. Tell us about Final Cut 10.
It actually happened as well on a few other jobs. I'd go in and there was a colorist in New York, and and we're grading there with him, and he's and again I'm going, hey, oh, whoa, okay, look, can you just flip to red lock film? And he goes, we can't. And I go, why? And he goes, oh, I'm grading the DPXs. And I'm like, oh fuck. I said, what is this? Why are we doing this? I said, you got a raw file there that you can float around in, right? And I said that, and it's just rubbish. You are starting from a rubbishy base. So it takes this color so much extra time to get where we need to be, right? And yeah, he refused to go to the raw file. And he was in Baselite as well. And yeah, I'll tell you what should have been like a 4 or 5 hour grade turned in 2 days, because there was no way I was leaving there with this shit, this rubbish bloody grade. Anyway, so sorry, Warren. Final Cut Pro, yes?
Yeah, Final Cut 10. You like that?
I do a lot, yeah. I mean, as you know, I'm an ex-Avid guy. I'm an ex-Premiere guy. I'm an ex-Final Cut 7 guy. I use Resolve Editor quite a bit. I really got into Resolve Editor because I thought it might have been the go as well. But nothing can just beat the speed of that Final Cut 10. I just can't. I can't for the life of me stop not use it. It's too fast, and that's only because you're minimizing you're minimizing how many times you move a clip around, because it attaches audio. There's magnetic timelines. It's all these things which are foreign to normal editors, right? But once you learn how it works, it all makes sense. And then when you do go back to Avid, or you do go back to Premiere or whatever, you just go, oh my goodness. I mean, everyone that goes back in time and jumps back on an old project, they'll all ring me, every one of them, and go, oh my goodness, this is like a horror going back, you know. And I think Resolve Editor personally is really good. I think that because it reminds me of Final Cut Pro 7, but again, it's still old. It's still that old style. Or not, I'm not going to say old. It's still the traditional type non-linear editing. So this Final Cut have just tried something different, and for me, it works. So, and I don't care what label or logo is on the side of that fucking program. Pardon me. Oh, stop swearing, mate. I don't care what logo is on the side. I'm just going to use what's fast. You know what I mean? So for me at the moment, it's fantastic. There's no rendering, no nothing. It's just so fluid. Oh, and honestly, if we were doing our movie on it, it probably would have taken me twice as long to edit, because I just knew how much work would be involved if I did do it in Avid or Premiere, you know. So doing it in Final Cut, I reckon I probably saved about 30 to 40 days of work. But I'm not saying it's a big. I don't say it. Like I said, I'm not saying Final Cut is better than Resolve, and I never will. I'm just saying I'm getting the same result quicker in Final Cut. That's all.
Well, that's the theme of this whole 18 hours we've been chatting. It's whatever tool you're comfortable with, what tool you are fast with, and how you can, end of the day, make money, feed your family, and move on. We can't get too artistic and, you know, arty about too many of these things, because, you know, it's just not worth it. We're just not going to get anywhere. So there's got to be a balance, a creative, let's get the job done balance.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think everyone needs to choose a tool that suits them. You don't get stuck in too much peer pressure. You know, you can really spend too much money as well on things that you don't need. I mean, you know, I went through a big monitor phase there. I bought the 300 and the X300 and the 10 and the. Yeah. Now I've got these XDR things. I mean, I've gone through my monitor phase. It was like a disease, you know. Because I was searching for the ultimate HDR, and then I realized that, like, these XDRs, for instance, they're not as good as the 310 by any stretch. Oh, actually, they're close. They're so close, you know. But you know, 310 for $45,000. You're not getting $35,000 better image. But when it comes to detail, these would kill the X310, you know, when you start looking deep into them. But the 310 is probably you know, it's got its roots as well, but it's like I felt like I was spending a lot of money on things I didn't really ultimately need. But I'm sure but that's just me on a personal level. You know, if people want to buy, you know, those expensive monitors, you got to do it if you think it's right for your clients and everything.
Yeah, that's right. And these bigger post houses, sure. John, have you got the trailer there? We can have a look at just before we wrap up.
Sir, we've landed. Are we still in all go?
We are go. We're dropping a secret team of robots into a country that we're not supposed to be in. It got serious the moment it was thought up.
Hey!
Stand up! You're all gone, or I'll kill you! Do it.
These people have seen everything.
Take them all down. No witnesses. Oh, shit!
We have an ID on him yet?
Sending you a packet.
Special forces, huh? If this guy's a deserter, it could be the ultimate field test.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
She's a doctor. They're all doctors. They're here on a good cause mission.
Come on, man. Okay, you're scaring her. You're scaring me.
I'm scared.
Come on! Do it! Fight me like a man, come on! You were made by humans to afflict death! You were made by humans. We're different! I'm a man, I have life! You're a machine!
So Mark, do you want to let everyone know where they can go and find the film? Where can they see the film? Where can they learn more about it?
I think looking at all the platforms and who's done a very good, who's done a really good upload. I think Apple have done it really well. They've got the 4K version up there, and it looks exactly what we're looking at here. And Google have got a really good one as well. So, YouTube and Google Play. I think Amazon they've just done like a HD one. I think, I'm not sure, but Apple TV. Just go there and just type in Monsters of Man. It's there. Oh, actually, I've got one on Vimeo on demand as well. So actually, here's one thing to learn too. All the platforms take 50%, right? Because that's what they do. They're a shelf. They're a company. But Vimeo on demand is actually 90-10 split. So the filmmaker gets 90% of the sale price. So a lot of people don't know that, but it's actually fantastic. And it's a very easy system that you can watch all over the world. So jump on Vimeo on demand. We've put up a really cool 4K version up on there, really high bitrate one.
Oh.
And it's that's the P3 one we put up there too, which looks on.
What does it roughly cost the movie over these platforms? The same sort of dollars?
Yeah, they're all same prices. Yeah.
All right. All right.
It all depends in different countries. Like these platforms sort of set them wildly in different regions. Some, like look at Amazon, it might be like $22, and over here it's $19, and over there it's $18, and over there it's $16. But I think the film industry's already killed the price of a movie. People are happy to pay more for a training video than they are for a $100 million film.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So
thanks very much, buddy.
Devalued market. No worries. Well, thanks, guys. It's nice to meet you all.
Thanks for joining. It's been fun. And if anyone needs to reach you, they can get you at, is it Toia.com?
Yeah, mark@toia.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just do your, That's pretty much it. I'm not sure what I can add. I'm sure you guys are all super pro. But if you've got anything a bit sticky, that yeah, yell out.
Yeah. All right. Lovely. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Mark.
Cool, man. Thanks, Mark.